Barber and also Mathew Bose. You two, welcome for a start.
Thank
you. Listen, the first time I've had two people in here that really, you obviously gel and get on.
Oh,
and it's not always the same when
we
you
have
get
a lot of history. A lot of history.
Some we can talk about and some we just simply can't.
It's sort of called stalking, because
She stalks me.
Every job I do, he turns up, and it's help. Basic help.
And it must help if you must help if you get on, mustn't it? You can't.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
When
Working
you
with people
see
you
what
don't
we
like
have to do
is
in the play
awful.
together. That's true.
Yes, I have to jump on him.
Oh, really?
Yes, and then he has to run around the stage with my heavy weight.
Not heavy.
And
she's as light as a piece of broccoli.
Yes.
We'll talk more about the play in just a little while, but first of all, let's talk about you two. First of all, Glynis, ladies first. Recently been on EastEnders, obviously,
yes.
and perhaps we also remember you from Dempsey and Makepeace, but
and
you've
Emmerdale.
just and Emmerdale. You've been in Emmerdale.
Yes,
I know you've been in Emmerdale.
That's
why you.
this
Oh,
one.
I see. I see.
We should have done that as a competition question.
Yeah. But is it a bit difficult when you're leaving a long-term job to sort of the first day or two afterwards?
Yeah. Oh no, it is, and especially something as intense as EastEnders. But I did about a year on it, and it was really, really intense. And you invest a lot in your character, and so then suddenly you're not going to play that character anymore. It's a funny feeling. It's a sort of, there's definitely an adjustment period, and I was amazed at how I felt. Actually, it was sort of almost a kind of sort of grieving, because there's this person that you're playing almost more than you're playing yourself for a while. That's what it feels like on some days, because the hours are so long, and I had quite big storylines, certainly for the last few months, so it really was intense. And you just don't know how one moment you can be this character and play this character, and then the next minute, no. It's as if that character doesn't exist.
It's not just you and the character, but then all the people that are around you as well that you see every day.
Yes, exactly. It's a way of life. I mean, it's quite I first noticed this when I actually went into Emmerdale, that, because people do tend to stay quite a long time in soaps, and it becomes this whole other little world, and quite the safe little world. And I noticed that a lot of people don't like to leave that little world.
Because it is safe, isn't it? And such a precarious profession that you're in. Did you find that, Mathew?
Yes, I did. I mean, that's very true, that you play that person so much. And then, because I was on Emmerdale for nearly 5 years, and the other thing that carries on afterwards is that you're still that person to a lot of people. So when you're no longer that person, you are, of course, and for me, I'm still Paul in so many ways, because we were together for such a long time. But people still, I met a lovely lady, Sharon, and her mother in the street today, who called me Paul, and because that happens a lot, and I respond to it, because in a way I am Paul, and I'm very happy to be Paul still for those people, but of course I don't get to be Paul anymore. Which is you miss out on that part.
It's very strange. People don't normally think about that. As you are actors, they think, all right, that's acting, close the door, open another one, or perhaps not open another one, because it is a tricky profession, isn't it? Both of you. I mean, you must have must have had lean years.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've been in this business for a very long time now, so yes, I keep thinking, God, what else can I actually go and do now? I've been everywhere.
Yes.
I've even been in just about every soap now. So,
Matthew, you have another string to your bow.
I do. I own a pub.
And another string.
And I do some art. Yes.
Hey,
So
you
I
own
have
a pub?
Yes, I do.
Where do you own a pub?
In a place called Burley in Wharfdale. Well, Glynis should tell you, she's been.
I've been there with the whole cast when we were staying in Sheffield. We did a day trip. We got the train, and we went, and it's just absolutely divine. Absolutely divine. We had a lunch that was heaven. Everything is. This is my kind of thing. Everything is locally sourced. Everything is in season. They know how that animal lived. They know where that vegetable was grown. everything is within like a few mile radius of the pub. I mean, it was, and the food
Even
was
the beer is
magnificent.
local,
Yeah.
So.
And just sort of very warm and casual. I mean, it's not, it's not fancy. It's just an absolutely village pub, and
And you
go
can
in there.
buy everything in there as well, which they thought was quite amusing. You can buy everything. It's called the Queen's Head, and no jokes, please. And it's you can buy everything in there. The food. I mean, it is great.
Well, basically, what he means is he's just put a label on everything. So every chair you're sitting on, every table you're sitting on, there's a label with a price. Wishful thinking.
No, it worked because Jenny Funnell, who plays Rachel in the show, she bought a chair. So
I did see people walking out with chandeliers and pieces of the furniture and taking things off the wall. Oh, I'll take that. Absolutely.
And because
hilarious.
we're tweeteramas, me and Glynis, we tweet and each other as well, as much as we tweeted all sorts of things from there. So we've really enjoyed it. It was a tweet fest.
Yeah.
That day.
Is that where you live, Matthew, by the way? That's your base?
In Burley, yeah.
Well, what a lovely
Yorkshire. It's sort of right at the bottom of Ilkley Moor, so it's great.
Right.
Beautiful.
Listen, don't go away, you two. We've hardly started talking, and look at the time. We would even appearing in the season's greetings at the Malvern Theatre. We were talking earlier about you and your painting, and while we weren't talking and Paul Young was singing,
Yes.
both Glynis and I decided that you really ought to put your paintings on your wall
In the pub. Yeah.
Definitely.
I don't know why I haven't,
These
actually.
paintings are fantastic.
What are they of? What do you do?
Well, mostly portraits, actually, at the moment. I've been doing
Has he done
some...
you, Glynis?
No. What a good idea.
You see?
That'd be great,
I'm
actually.
joking.
But I've been doing a lot of... I just did some stuff for Monkey World. I just did a chimpanzee.
Definitely not.
And people ask me to do... I've done a lot of animals and things. I used to do people more, but I don't know, I've drifted into people's pets. People, I think, tend to prefer to have portraits of their pets than themselves, actually.
Yeah. Well, I think, when we go into your pub, the Queen's Head, where is it?
In Burley and Wharfdale.
We hope now to see some of his stuff on the
Definitely.
wall. Because everything is,
Definitely.
as we heard earlier, everything's
got a label on
everything's got a little price tag on the front.
Yeah, exactly.
We better go to the play, I suppose, which will appear in the
Oh,
Malvern.
right then.
It's a fair-sized cast. It's called Season's Greetings, one of Alan Ayckbourn's. Never a bad Alan Ayckbourn play, is there?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, because he's so prolific and he's been doing it for so long, I think sometimes one tends to take him for granted, but I actually think he's a complete genius. And he's not as easy to do as it looks, I can tell you.
Well, that's why you're there, to make it look easy.
Yeah.
For us to sit in the audience and say,
actually,
come on, I could do that.
Yeah, he's the one who came up with sort of doing multiple plays, all taking place at the same time, but in different rooms. And he began with the Norman Conquests, where there were 3 plays all set at the same time, one in the garden, one in the kitchen, one in the living room. Who else has done that? It's brilliant.
Decision
It's absolutely
plays
brilliant.
where audiences take it in a different
Exactly.
direction depending on who they want to do things, And on this, I think that this is part of the sort of 80s group of plays that he did, which are very location specific. So ours takes place in a hallway, really. He said he thought that was one of the few places he hadn't set a play. So
Yeah.
he thought, and of course it's Christmas, so there will be something that everybody will recognise, I think, obviously it's an Alan Ayckbourn Christmas, so it's no ordinary Christmas. But it's interesting because there is, I think most people, even though it's written in that era, most people relate to something now and, are moved by it. It's very funny, but it's quite dark in places. It's sort of very
dark,
interesting.
really. I mean, it is a comedy, and there are a lot of laughs, but it is, it's
There's
it
an
is a
underlying
very,
darkness,
very
isn't
dark
there? Yeah,
comedy, yeah.
High Wycombe last week, Malvern this week. Where next week?
Well, funnily enough, we have a week off next week.
Really?
Because there was a problem with the theatre that we were going to. So the week after, we're in Wolverhampton, and then we're in Brighton.
Which is Glynis's last week with us.
Oh, right.
Yes,
believe?
because I'm not in the last week, which is in Bath, which is, of course, sold out, because I'm not in it. But,
No, we've just said that to them. It's not true.
Because you stay together as a group for quite some time,
Yes.
don't you? And,
Yes.
and then perhaps another group take over and actors come and go because of perhaps other commitments of the actors that are there.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, we're like a family. You become an instant family. family in a way. I know lots of people say this and it sounds a bit trite, but it's true. You do sort of become this, and then there's a parallel because on the play, everyone except me is related in some way or another. So, and then you like different people. You know, there's a lot of odd relationships that you end up in, really, because you just end up you go on tour with these people. Like we're all in Malvern together because none of us live here, so we are all here together. So we're the only people we know. So we end up sort of hanging out together, which is a good job that we sort of like each other, really.
Yes,
Otherwise,
well, I mean, that is one of the odd things of an actor's existence, is like, you know, being in something like Emmerdale. I'm sure you're in touch with a lot of people, and you know, in EastEnders, and you just get so close to people. You see so much of them. You see more of them than your own family. But then when you leave that job and you go on to another one, it's instantly, you don't really, I mean, you don't keep in touch with everybody. You do make friendships here and there, and you obviously do keep in touch, but you instantly have to go and put all your attention onto the next job. So
both of you have had long runs in soap. Does that make it difficult for you to go back on telly? You particularly, Mathew, with 5 years, but also...
Well, the most I've ever done is a year.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's a good way
not
to do it,
too
actually.
long.
Yeah.
I think when 5 years, and Ricky Grove's in the show as well, is on EastEnders for 9 years, and Christopher Timothy, the national treasure that he is, you know, still known for James Herriot. So even though he's on Doctors for 5 years as well, but I think that Ricky is known so much for that, and I think 9 years is different. So I think Glynis has played it very well because she's been on all these things, and you end up you just become a television face, or rather than you know, somebody who's known as, I'm known as Paul. Most people don't know my real name. A lot of people don't know Ricky's real name. They know him as Gary Hobbs. So, you know, I think which is a sort of odd mix then, isn't it?
Also, isn't it strange about Ricky? I mean, you know, he's also now Strictly Come Dancing.
Yes.
Yes,
and
yes.
that's just one show that lasts for 3 months.
Yeah.
And what an impact something like that has.
And he's the most incredible. He and Barbara, who plays Patty in the show, Barbara Drennan, they dance around the place together, and they're both, you know, they just go off and suddenly waltz off or foxtrot off somewhere in the back, in the wings. It is incredible.
Yeah.
Listen, you two, we're going to have to bring this to a close. I know. I mean, I'm having such a good time. But do you know what you're doing next? I worry about actors.
Well, I'm doing a panto.
Hooray!
That's why I'm leaving the
right.
the play
Yes.
1 week early, because
You're supposed to say, "Oh no, you're not."
I know. I thought, all right. Here we go. But
I'd actually signed up for the panto first, which is why I can't complete the last week here. So I shall be in Tunbridge Wells for the first time in my life ever doing a panto, thanks to EastEnders. So I'm doing...
You're playing the wicked one then?
How
Yes.
did you know?
Just got I don't know. I just...
How did you...
She's been practicing her wicked laugh. It's good.
Honestly, yes, I am the bad fairy in Sleeping Beauty.
Mathew,
And I
do you
need
know
to be
what's...
very bad.
Do you know
Very
what's
bad.
next?
No, I don't. I've got Christmas at the pub, so that will.
but
Now
that's
I'll probably
quite
be
busy.
lying down in a dark room for all of January. I think.
I think I will too, actually.
Listen, you two, enjoy your stay here.
Thank you.
Enjoy your time in Season's Greetings. Thank you for coming in. I've had a ball. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Glynis Barber and Mathew Bose, thank you very much for joining us.